Anyway, Bo was cutting hair up there on 11th Street, and my dad would take all 6 of his boys, 7 boys up there every Saturday to get a buzz cut. And so I was sitting in the chair, and Bo was buzzing my hair, and he goes like, "That Judy Michael, she lives down the road from you. There's a street light down there, and it really bothers me late at night." And I said, "Well, you know, I got a 22 and I can see it from my house." And so we struck a deal and I took care of the street light. So I was a gun for hire there at an early age. Then I wanted to thank Judy and Bo for all your visits. My brother Jim. It meant a lot to us since he was town. I know it meant a lot to Linda too, so just wanted to mention that. The other thing I have, I brought a clock, and I know when I was sitting at 14th and Main with my dad, the preacher would take the clock and he would set it on the podium. And I said, "Well, Dad, what does it mean when he sets the clock on the podium?" He looked at me and said, "Son, it doesn't mean a thing." Yeah. But I got my clock here ticking away because I always like for a meeting to end on the same day it started. So you guys are in luck.
Oh, okay. I have pictures. Mine will start passing them down.
Oh, good. Very good.
Jack fixed. Y'all can just pass them down and around. They're up to you.
Well, the other thing, Jackie, thanks for using most of my stories already.
Oh, yeah.
That got me to a whole new plan right away. Well, you know, growing up in Big Spring, when I was growing up there, it was a beautiful town. Population was around 42,000 people. The Webb Air Base contributed about $30 million a year to our local economy. The Cosden was still Cosden, locally operated and managed, and we had a lot of executives from Cosden that were integrated into the community, and they made it really great. And so it was really a marvelous time to live in Big Spring and to grow up there. And of course, as was mentioned earlier, Bruce's show Here and There with Bruce on Channel 4 was a significant point of reference for everybody. In fact, when the airmen's families would move in, they'd say, "You got to tune in at 6 o'clock. There's this guy that eats fried chicken on the air." And that was the way he was represented as the man who ate chicken and served pie. In fact, one night he couldn't find the knife. I don't think Jackie put it on the table out there for him. And he took a pair of scissors out and cut a pie with scissors and ate it on air. And of course, any of you that went to Newsom's knew when he ate pie or chicken on TV, sales would soar. And those of us that were at the station, we couldn't wait for the show to end so we could eat what was brought out. So it was a great time to be there. We had sponsors Cosden, Newsom's, Lewis's Five and Dime, Montgomery Ward, pretty much anything that moved. International Harvester, Pollard Chevrolet, Tidwell Chevrolet, as things changed. I used to tell all my classmates that my dad got a new car every day. And they go, "No, your dad doesn't get a new car every day, but he'd pick me up at lunch in a different car every day." Because he'd go by Tidwell Chevrolet, pick up a car from the TV show that night, return it the next day and get a different one. So it covered my whole roots. I have new cars coming in. So, Channel 4 was thriving, the community was thriving. As Ecclesiastes says, for everything there's a season and a time and purpose under heaven. And that was a great season, a great time. As most of you know, things went another direction later after most of us left. I left at 16. Some of you maybe spouses of Big Spring. Is any of you here just a spouse trying to tune into culture and history of this little piece of heaven on West Texas? Now, the truth is most of us describe it as it's not the edge of the earth, but you can see it from there. You know, we know that's it. Well, I began to practice Little League Baseball, and my practice field was right near the stadium, the station, Channel 4. So I would ride my Stingray bicycle that I got on Gandy's Bid and Buy with my milk carton top. And with 10 kids, I could outbid anybody. We drank a lot of milk. So I knew after practice I could ride over there, throw my bike in the back of my dad's truck and ride home with him. So I started spending like an hour a day at Channel 4. In fact, I know I was that annoying little 8-year-old kid that made Smitty Smith, an engineer, really nervous. In fact, so nervous one day I was standing behind all the equipment racks at Channel 4, and I could see the big tubes going, you know how they do, looking through the window. I thought, I'd really like a better look at that. So I think I'll just open the door. I know not to touch anything in there, but I'm just going to open the door and look at this, because this is fascinating for an 8-year-old kid. You know, thousands of volts of power passing before your eyes. So I opened the door. What I wasn't aware of at that age is that there's a safety interlock in the door, and it took the station off the air. So it was one of those. I took off running to the lobby and was reading a magazine. As Smitty ran around the station going, what happened? It's never done that before. To this day, you're the first ones to know. This is my first confession of having done that.
We can't keep it secret. We're gonna tell you.
I think with the station gone, I don't have to worry anymore about that. But I did wait until Jack's little story on it. But my dad, being the kind of dad he was, the entrepreneur and all that, wanted to pass on his skills and stuff, taught me to tear the weather off the teletype there, and I prepared all the weather boards that he used in his weather forecast. In fact, if you look at some of these pictures, you'll recognize my elementary school writing on the board. And so I did that on a daily basis. Now, he didn't tell me I was the producer of the show, but we just kind of knew that that's how that worked. I remember the Associated Press teletype in there chattering away, and I would get this date in history. And he would always read that on the TV show about what happened on this date in history.
I bet you got the big bucks too, didn't you?
I got $1 a day,
Oh, did you really?
which was big bucks for a kid at that time. So I did that for him. I produced the show. He'd come streaming in, you know, like 5 minutes before the show started, pull on a blazer and act like he'd been there all day preparing. And he did draw the whole community together. The other thing is that our family with 10 kids, every time we went to get gasoline, we were asked if we were Catholic. My sister can validate that. And we were in church every Sunday night, and every Wednesday. We were a Christian family. And that was a real blessing for us. Well, from there, from Big Spring, we fell on some hard times when I was like 16 years old. And the family migrated from Big Spring. And I stayed behind, lived with my grandmothers 6 months with each one of them, trying to balance the political status in the family. And so really, basically, left home at 16. I moved to Arlington to catch up with my parents. And no sooner did I get here than they got a job in Eagle Pass and left and went to Eagle Pass. And so I stayed here in Arlington And there was a family that took me in. So I knew that there were guardian angels out there. If you read the book, What I Learned on the Ranch, there's a whole story in there about Roscoe, Albert, and Sam, who are our guardian angels. And with 10 kids, we had guardian angels because it took too long to say Jim, Penny, Mac, Beth, Eddie, Rob, Ben, Tim, and Donnie, get in the car. So Bruce and my mom would just say, Roscoe, Albert, Sam. And we knew that that was our guardian angels rounding us up to get into the car. But when I came to Arlington, literally it was homeless. I worked in convenience stores and shared a room with a classmate that took me in for my senior year. But it was one of the best opportunities in a lifetime because I met Gloria Murphy, my wife, that year in high school. Now, I didn't marry her till 5 years later, but that's where we connected up. You know, in Proverbs it says, a man who finds a good woman is worth more than diamonds. And believe me, I got a diamond, and not even one in the rough. She was polished, shining diamond. So spend time with Gloria. Fortunately, Jack didn't introduce her, but I was going to introduce my sister and my sister-in-law because they will validate or refute some of the things that I say. Well, leaving home at 16 and living here in Arlington, I had to learn real fast how to grow up. And a lot of people helped me along the way. In fact, I was going through Wichita Falls and I met a cousin who introduced me to a guy in Wichita Falls that was in the motion picture union. He ran projectors at the local theater and they took me in an apprentice for me. And I learned the motion picture trade in Wichita Falls, Texas. And it's the first time I actually made a living. I had a union job. And I made $10 an hour back when that was good money at that time. And I could study. I came back to Arlington. I worked in the projection theater booths all over Tarrant County. And I could study at work. And my grades made a huge difference. I went from being on one side of the dean's list to the other side. And graduated there in 1976 with the bicentennial. Another favorite verse I have in Ecclesiastes is the one where it says, I've seen something under the sun. The race is not to the swift, or the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise or wealth, to the brilliant or favor to the learned, but time and chance overtake us all. And really, when people come and ask me, how did you get to be the CEO of a large sports television company? It's time and chance. It wasn't because of my brilliance. It wasn't because of my family history, even though growing up around Channel 4 inspired me. Being at KBST with guys like Jim Lewis and Jim Bond really made me want to be there and be part of that. But like my projection job, I grew up to be the guy behind the scenes. It's like the projection that starts the movie. He's running the show, but behind the scenes, someone you don't see a lot of. And that was kind of my role in the sports business. Now, I got hired to consult. I started a business distributing children's films to daycare centers, and I consulted with a company called Fort Worth Productions. And we produced the Van Cliburn for public television. That was really my first chance to get up front and get into the production side of the business. And we by chance were doing an industrial video or movie for IBM. And it was to go and film at the Lake Placid Winter Olympics, all the ancillary stuff going on, you know, which is the drive of the champion. So we were interviewing all these champions, going to their dorms and different food places. And by chance, we ran into the producer of ABC Sports, which owned the rights. And we said, we'd really like to film the Russian and American hockey game. Could we do that? We're not going to broadcast it, but we're going to make these inspiration videos for IBM. And we got permission to do that. And as most of you know, it turned out to be a miracle on ice. And Forward Productions was on the map. And we sold footage out of that for many years. And that was really my first launch in sports. From there, I got recruited to put Channel 21 on there here in Arlington at the time. And I was 26 years old. I never actually built a TV station. I did remember driving by Channel 4 after church and watching them build the tower, but I was like, 5 years old. So that was my main experience. And we built the tower out here on Cedar Hill. I look up at night and see it off to the left, they're blinking, and we put Channel 21 on there as a subscription pay service. And through that service, we did movies, sports, and entertainment. And I acquired the rights to the Dallas Mavericks. And that was the first sports rights deal I was ever exposed to. And so we carried the Mavericks, and we did TV there. I was there for a couple of years. And that was a real time and chance opportunity, because that's where I really cut my teeth in paid television, sports television, and so forth. Well, when Warner Amex came to town to get the Dallas franchise, they would have given the city fathers anything to get the franchise. So they gave them a regional sports network. Some of you may remember Home Sports Entertainment. And I was recruited to do that. I was recommended to them by the Mavericks. They asked them, is there somebody who knows something about sports? They gave them my name. And I had the opportunity to build Home Sports Entertainment. Well, I came to work. I was there like 30 days, and Drew Lewis. Any of you remember Drew Lewis? You know what he's famous for? He fired all the air traffic controllers when he was secretary under Reagan. Remember that? Well, he was my new boss. And 2 days after I got there, he fired 60% of the people at Warner Amex. He called me up to New York. I'm at the 21 Club with 2 colleagues. We had 2 other networks, and he leaned across the table after this wonderful meal with this laser beam blue eyes and said, let me make myself really clear, fellas. We went, okay. He said, I hate sports networks. You have a year to make a profit, and if you don't, then you're going to be history. So I said, but Mr. Lewis, you haven't even wired the city yet. How am I going to deliver sports to people in Dallas, Texas, when they're not even hooked up? And he said, Edward, not my problem. So I spent about a year working with my colleague from Houston, Richard Barron, who we'd been real rivals that first year. We were trying to outsmart each other and get the high ground. And suddenly, we were foxhole buddies. And we became fast friends. We went everywhere to try and find investors to bail us out and keep the company going. Anheuser-Busch, Lamar Hunt, anybody taking me with us, we went. And nobody would. Nobody would buy in. Until the Houston Astros said, well, we might be interested. And so we tried to cultivate them, but they didn't seem that interested. And they had such a high rights fee that Warner Amex had given them that they made it impossible for anybody else to absorb that business. So we ended up pursuing that. Well, nothing was happening. Cable operators were picking up rumors that we were going out of business. Richard and I looked at our bank account. We had $10,000 left before we were completely out of money. And we were losing cable systems that were dropping the channel. And so we got to stop that. We got to make the payroll. And I said, I know what we'll do. Let's put on a golf tournament. So we took the last $10,000 and put on a golf tournament in Houston and one in Dallas, and invited all the cable operators, and they were like coming scratching their heads and going, if you're going out of business, why are you playing golf? We said, oh no, we're not going out of business. And we held us to golf tournaments and we lasted another 30 days. Of course, we didn't make payroll, but everybody got over it. So we were down to the last breath. Drew Lewis called and said at 12 noon, gather your employees together and cut them loose. So at 12 noon on that day, I prepared the severance for everybody. Had a podium with a stack of cardboard boxes ready to hand out. And we were going dark. And at 11:55, the phone rang. And Drew Lewis said, wait 15 minutes. I said, well, it should be a positive. 15 minutes later, he called me to wait another 15 minutes. And then at 12:30, he said, we've made a deal with John McMullen, the owner of the Houston Astros, send everybody back to work. And we call that 15 minutes from death. Because it literally was. And we went on to do some other interesting things. Living on the edge. Well, of course, being owned by the Houston Astros, they didn't have much use for people in Dallas. But they kept me because I had the Rangers and the Mavericks. Once again, sports protected me. And I commuted to Houston every day on Southwest Airlines. I knew the flight attendants, I knew the other commuters, I knew the pilots. In fact, I ran into Ron Hubbard, who grew up in Big Spring. He was a pilot on Southwest Airlines. Every day, back and forth. And we began to go from there. And for 3 years, we managed as a management committee. It was Richard, myself, and a guy from the Astrodome that sat in on our meetings. It was a great setup because anytime anything went wrong, we said, he did it. Well, that really aggravated the Astros, and they said, somebody's got to be in charge. And the guy from the Astros took me out and he said, you know, if you get a haircut, shave that mangy mustache off, shine your shoes, and starch your shirt, you'd do well. And of course, I was offended by all of that. You don't like my outfit? I mean, I've had these shoes 28 years. What's wrong with it? You know? And, but it really taught me a valuable lesson. It's never underestimate the value of a shoe shine. And so I got all cleaned up, worked another 90 days, and sure enough, they promoted me to be the CEO and go run the sports network in Texas. As we got a little momentum going, we launched another network in Florida, one in Denver, we had one in Los Angeles, and then the big guys showed up. And they said, we really like what you're doing with sports. We think we'll buy your company out. And so they bought our company, and we went to work for what was known as Liberty Sports out of Denver, Colorado. Great deal for my family. We had a home here and one in Colorado. So we took our kids complaining all the way to Colorado during the summer, and then brought them all back here during the winter. In fact, when they got older, because they would complain, like, hey, you're making me stay in the mountains all summer. My friends back in Texas are swimming in the swimming pool. And we'd point out, yeah, it's 120 degrees. So when they got grown, we asked them, what was your favorite thing about growing up? Oh, he took us to the mountains every summer. You could have made it a lot easier on us by not complaining. So I spent 15 years in the sports television business. I traveled the globe, adventures with DFW. We launched a channel in Hong Kong with Richard Lee and Lee Ka-shing. They own the Hong Kong Stock Exchange and all kinds of retailing operations throughout Asia. When we launched that channel, Star Sports, to 42 countries, it was illegal in 41 of them. But at that time, you could put something on a satellite and they couldn't keep it out. The problem is we couldn't figure out how to monetize it. Because we couldn't exactly go into India and put up billboards and stuff. It was against the law. So we sold program guide subscriptions and faxed them. And we could fax over any international border and provide them with those program guides. I had a lot of fun in the sports business, but it did exhaust me after 15 years of traveling 3 days a week. Roy and I had a home just about 8 minutes south of DFW Airport. In fact, even to this day, we'll be going over to Dallas and I'll turn into the airport. And she'll say, you missed the turn again. So now she tells me before we get there. Now remember, you're going to Dallas. I don't know if this happens to some of the rest of you. I can't remember where I'm going or I live there. Yeah, it happens more and more. Well, I had a lot of fun doing that. I retired from sports in 1996. The greatest irony in my life, when I played sports, Big Spring, Goliad Junior High, I had no knowledge of football in 7th grade when I signed up. And his brother Jack took me to school on football a few times on the field because he could deliver a hit. And they were all getting positions. And I didn't know what the positions were, so I just waited till there was one nobody volunteered for, and I said, well, I'll do that. And I was a center from that day on. Guy gets hit on every play. I only had one problem with that career as a center. It's that you do the snap count in the huddle, the center goes out and sets up, and by the time the rest of the team was there, I couldn't remember the snap count. Kind of important for that position. And I'd have to get up and ask Scott McLaughlin, what's the count? And he would give it to both sides of the line. So that was my great football career. So I went on to baseball at Big Spring High School, played in the Pony League and out there in the north side of town. And one day, a miracle. I hit a ball and it went over the fence. And I just stood there looking. Couldn't believe it. And the people in the stands were like, run! Run! So when I got to college here at UTA, I thought I'd take up golf. So I went down to the driving range. I rented 2 buckets of balls and a driver. And a total stranger walked up to me and said he'd double my money if I would not hit any more balls. So I never went back and played golf ever again. I do have nightmares occasionally at that Little League stadium here in Big Spring. I'm playing right field, and my mom is in the stands. They put me in for like the last inning, because I was pretty marginal. And sure enough, the fly ball comes right out to right field. And I can hear my mom to this day going, no! So the greatest irony in my life is I ended up leading one of the largest sports operations on the planet. And I was a horrible athlete. But I knew something about television. I learned it at Channel 4. I carried it through. Time and chance overtook me. And you can find yourself in the greatest places by no merit of your own. Well, at the end of that career, I'd hired a ghostwriter to come in and write the story. I asked him, I said, come in, I'll pay you, you just write the story. And so he came to my office one day and spent about 3 hours with me, and I told him how I built this sports empire. We talked about what should we title the book. And he said, how about from the ground up, building a sports empire? And I said, okay, it works for me. And then he asked me for my Rolodex. Any of you remember what a Rolodex is? Okay, man, I'm in good company here. He took my Rolodex. I said, well, what do you want my Rolodex for? He said, I'm going to call all the people in it and get background information, which he did. He wrote the book, brought me the draft to read. When I read it, I realized something very important. I didn't do it. There's thousands of other people. The poor little operator that worked 24 hours a day with his finger in the dike down in Houston was Hurricane Carla or whichever one it was, blew in, flooded the place, and there were some real heroes. So it really humbled me. But it also taught me an important lesson. We don't do anything by ourselves. No matter what you do, you have a lot of people help you do it. Well, I did retire when Liberty sold to Fox, but I did work for Fox for an additional 5 years, and my commute changed from Denver to Houston to my time zone.
Keep going.
As long as you're happy, I'm happy.
We're happy.
That's usually to tell me to quit exercising, so I was getting a little excited there for a minute. So once I retired from the sports television world and cranked through Fox, I worked with CoServe Electric up here. In fact, my brother-in-law who's here with me, we built 400 miles of fiber and a telephone company. So I got on the other side of the equation, which is the cable operator side, and we did that for about 5 years. And then, in 2002, I joined with founder Patrick Gotch, returned to my rural roots, when we built the RT TV network. I don't know if any of you here are familiar with it, but if you're from Big Spring right now, you know that network very well. And one of the things we wanted to do is to have a TV channel you could leave on 24 hours a day and not worry about the grandkids seeing something you shouldn't see. And that network has become the voice of rural America. Which was interesting selling that in New York. Because people in New York would say, well, people here don't relate to any of that. They don't have anything to do with rural America. And I said, well, let me ask you a couple of questions. Do you eat? Well, yeah, I eat. Well, where did you think that came from? Well, the supermarket. You know, I said, well, you might want to think about where they got it from. Because it came from rural America. I noticed you're wearing clothes. Well, I always wear clothes. I said, well, the fiber that those clothes were made for came from rural America. And then I said, do you drive a car? Well, yeah, I drive a car. Well, the fuel that you're putting in that car comes from out there. And they would say, I still don't get it. But eventually they did. We hired a guy named Don Imus. We got on the map. And suddenly New York knew about us. Got to tell a little story here since I'm on the mugs. This was the first custom mug I had made in the sports business. It's the greatest mug ever. You cannot drink out of it. We'd bring a tray of those with hot coffee in it to any meeting we had and just sit back and enjoy. It is clever though. It looks like a baseball, no? And then I ran into another character at RFD-TV. You may recognize this. My Will Drain. Now, there is something unique about Willie if you happen to get on his bus. Most of you probably heard the stories. They hand you a small container with some stuff in it, and everyone has one so that no one has too many. So if anyone should have to stop the bus and investigate, no one would have anything over a misdemeanor on their record. That was Willie. Well, one of the other things I did, I retired from RFBT DFW, CEO there for 10 years. I'm still vice chairman of the board there. You may have seen the big rodeo here at AT&T Stadium, RFBT the American. And we're now holding that rodeo in Madison Square Garden in New York. A lot of people in New York love the network. We overcame all that. They realized where their food, fiber, and fuel came from. And it made a huge difference. Upon retiring from that, I watched Biz Television. Being an entrepreneur, I had a passion to help other entrepreneurs start a business, manage a business, sell a business, market a business. And that is broadcast today here in Dallas-Fort Worth on channel 55.6. And all these side channels that are now available. In Dallas-Fort Worth, there are 102 channels you can get free with an antenna like this. And they're great channels. Movie channels, sports channels, all the major channels you know of, and you don't have to pay anything for it. What's interesting about this is what was old is now new. Kind of like my wardrobe. I go in there after 20 years and it's back in style, you know? That kind of thing. So I really encourage you to investigate that, because if you're interested in trimming your cable bill or something, that's a really great way to do it. The other network I have is a network called U2 America. And our focus of that network is to show what makes America great. And we're particularly thankful to Donald Trump for taking our slogan and putting it on the map. Because we had it before he did. And we like to make America great. Well, one of the things that I get asked a lot is, won't you be glad when you're as big as ESPN? And I always have to point out, we're 23 times bigger than they are now. We know it's in the sports business. They don't, because ESPN is a big brand that they must be the biggest. We have 23 regional networks around the world, and we produce 23 times the content that they do. In fact, it was more than all the other sports television operators combined. So, we all know sports is travel, and you gotta be close to home to enjoy the sport. So, U2 America, Biz TV, you should download the app, you should like us on Facebook. I had to get that pitch in, and help us grow that, and help other people realize their dreams. And that's really what I'm about these days, is a retired media guy working 5 hours a day and picking up the other 3. So let's see, I think I have covered the highlights. Are there any questions? Anybody want to know anything about the media or the ethics in media? Garnet.
What's your favorite athlete you ever met?
You know, that's a good question to ask someone else. And the only reason I say that is that people will ask me to be on sports trivia shows for fundraisers. I know all the owners, accountants, and lawyers in sports. Because that was my end of the deal. I spent a lot of time with Nolan Ryan, of course, both in Houston and in Dallas. Rolando Blackman was a real fan. I was a real fan of him because he's just a great guy. You know, I spent a lot of time with Yogi Berra, probably my most favorite person in athletics, because he was funny. And at the baseball meetings, I would sit with him in his drink of choice, and he would tell stories about baseball. And you've heard most of them. One of my favorite ones is that, well, nobody goes there, it's too crowded. But,
Is that still
barely. Barely. He's pretty much gotten out of everything. I was sitting in his place across from Central Park in New York, and his wife Deidre was giving me a rundown on all the public schools and private schools that their son was they were exploring for their son. And I was finally saying, Deidre, Ed's gonna hang himself if you don't just quit. You know. No.
How did you knock out that street light? The BB gun or a rock?
No, the 22 long rifle.
Yeah, you weren't the best at the athletic side of the house, so you had to use something.
A scope
BB
helps.
gun up.
The scope really helps. And I appreciated the work.
I thought you might say, you know when your father put KBST off the air one morning?
No, I'm not sure about that, but I put it off a couple of times, but I wasn't sure when he did.
I used to wake up around 6:30 or so,
Yeah.
and your father was down there to do the farm news or so, or something like that. And he and the guy, I don't know whether it was the other who, would sit there and talk. And one morning they would talk about all this meteorological equipment they had got in that they needed to be put on the roof. And they said something about, well, there's 4 feet of roof, there's 4 feet of ceiling up there. How like it was their responsibility, how are you gonna get a cable through that? And one of them said, I'll bring in my deer rifle, and I don't know whether it's your father or the other guy. And so the next morning, and I made sure I was awake, they sit there and talk about whereabouts did they want to hold. And you hear them give the talk, give kind of a countdown, and the station, and when they pull the trigger, the station will off there.
More gunslinging in Big Spring. There you have it. This thing has a hum.
That was kind of CFL.
So I've had a great time being here with you. I appreciate you coming and having the opportunity to share with you. I was in the class of 71, and I think Pam's the only one here in the class of 71. So you got some recruiting to do, Jack, to get more people in here. And the horses' names were Star and Dan. Remember that too? 'Cause we spent a whole day looking for them with me. Yes, sir?
Were you too young to remember, or just tell me? There used to be a big rock tank out at your dad's house. We swam in it and had moss all over the side of the wall. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed the slippiness of it. We swam in that tank many hours. My mom loved it because we got to
There
spend
was
all
a
afternoon.
metal ladder to get down into it.
We had to do chores before we could swim in.
Yep. The L rods came up, and it was about this wide on the top. And of course, if you lived there, you learned to run around that like at 100 miles an hour. You bring the L rods up, you'd have a chase you, and they'd go right off the edge. There was
Boy,
a-
it's clever as you were looking at us. Eddie, do you remember when I was about, probably 10, Daddy, your dad, talking to my daddy into bringing me, yes, even a young girl can open this sofa. And so, you know, those are
Right.
that you open up and make a bed. And so I had to be on TV doing that, but it was one of my favorite Bruce Springsteen.
But you know, Bruce had to sell sponsorships. And so us kids were featured often. In fact, at Christmas, we all had to go show everybody in town what we got from Santa. I think most of it came from Lewis's Fine and Dime and Young Reward. And, but we had to show everybody. And I had the indignity of going back to school with kids saying, I really like your rabbit pajamas.
And we had to do that when we were 12 years old.
Yeah. It wasn't so bad when you were little, but it got worse. As you get older.
Would you tell them the story how Bruce got started in Big Spring?
I'm not sure I was there. I came along later, and he was already there.
Could I share something?
Sure.
I can't guarantee the story's right, but when Bruce told it, he told it to me as fact. When he first moved to Big Spring, he didn't have a job, had a wife and some kids, and he needed support. And apparently there was not much unemployment at that time. He had gone to a number of places and kept hearing no, no, no. Well, he loved plants. And there's a big nursery there, and he thought, I'd like to work there. Well, they told him no. I admire Bruce for his tenacity. He put on his work clothes and went to work there anyway. He was carrying stuff out, he was doing all the stuff there. And the owner came up and asked him, Wilbur, what are you doing here? He told him, well, leave. Bruce didn't leave. I guess he was gambling, he'd get hit on trespassing. But after close to a week of working there every day and being told to leave, the guy liked his work entirely. And I thought that was quite an example.
It is, and he was very tenacious about a number of things, makes a big difference.
Was that nuisance?
Beg your pardon?
Was that nuisance?
I think so.
You know, one of the things we love about nuisance is we can walk from my grandmother's over there, we can get candy and just sign a book. You know, they have an account and you just signed and left. And it's a great time, like I said, it's a great era being Big Spring.
We did that at Carl Coleman's, go across the railroad track and get $2-3 worth of gas. Just tell them to put it on Granddad's bill.
Yeah, Bud Green up on the left. We had to go down there. We got chewing gum and newspapers there every Sunday. And used comic books. That was one of my favorite things.
Used to go to Bud Green's
And
every
used
week.
comic.
19 cents a gallon.
Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, I hate wearing that into the men's room. I do have one test for you. Tell me whose name is on this stick. This is the Gordon.
Frank Gretzky. How about that? Cool.
We had a dozen of these and one was left over.
Cool. You know, I think probably, this is just a prediction, I think you're going to make national news. And I think I'm going to post this on Facebook, and I'm going to make sure the Big Spring PD sees it. Here's about the line shot out, 22, the Big Spring. And maybe this will be an unsolved mystery. Case was solved however many years later. Linda Wick talked to them here, their computer's down today, but so you know, said they'd write it down, we'll double check later. We tentatively asked them to reserve us the next time for June 29th. So if you want to make a note, we'll come June 29th for our next meeting. Yes, David A.B.
Well, when he started talking about shooting out streetlights, I thought two things. One of them was that the streetlight with the little rough top, or, you know, that was easy to break it out. And we used to do that with water guns. We'd pump the water gun up real, and you didn't really have to get anywhere in that thing. If you let you make the water shoot, and that light bulb would blow up.
Man, you know, this is kind of like, I feel like I'm in prison. I'm listening to all the inmates tell me, you know, what are you in for? So, kind of true confessions here today. Listen to soul. Yeah.
The key on shooting out streetlights is to call the city and tell them it's not working. You get another buck every time you do this.
Tell them it's not working. Well, listen, we're glad everybody came today, and one of my favorite things is when we wrapped up, y'all are welcome to hang around. I love watching people talk, but we need to do one more thing. We have a former choir teacher among us, Karen Elrod, come up here and everybody can stand up if you want to and sing our school song. I mean, we got a true professional.
All right. The lead left. The lead right. All right, y'all ready? Dear old